So, I just only finished the Terran Armada DLC for Starfield. It took me longer than I thought it would, not because there was too much content, far from it, but more because I was bored to death. And so I'm going to explain all of that in today's review. Let's get started. Now, before we move on to the review itself, I would like to reiterate that I do not enjoy making negative content. I usually am a positive person who enjoys being fired up about what I do. That being said, I also always say what I think, which often gets me in trouble. That's why I'm blacklisted from any partnership programs from the two main games that I'm following on the channel, and this is why I'm relying on your support on Patreon to keep my independence. More info in the pinned comment. So, what did I think of Starfield Terran Armada? As always with reviews on the channel, we are going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we are going to start with what I like, because not everything is negative, of course, with this latest Starfield DLC. Also, as a disclaimer, this is a review of the Terran Armada DLC, not the free updates, so I will not go over the quality of life updates and additions added by this update. First, I like the addition of the action figures that you can collect in the game. Just like the magazines that we can collect, these add permanent bonuses to your character, which is a nice addition for your character's development. I also think that Delta is an interesting companion, reminiscent of other robotic companions you can find in other famous science fiction RPGs. What I particularly enjoy about Delta is that unlike most of your other companions, he will not frown upon some of the more morally questionable choices that you do, which is a nice change. Starfield features so many of those annoying companions who believe they are so morally superior that having someone who will not care about whether you stole something or killed an innocent is a nice and welcome addition. In Terran Armada, outposts finally give a concrete use. There's a side quest that makes you build an outpost which is going to produce Xtech, a new material that can be used to upgrade your weapons and make them change their status from common to uncommon to epic to legendary. A lot of people have, in fact, entirely skipped the outpost construction aspect of the game, and with the possibility of getting a constant supply of Xtech, I think that Bethesda have found a way to give these players an opportunity to take a look at outpost building, and this is, in my opinion, a smart move. And that's about everything positive I could find about Terran Armada, unfortunately. I have, however, a lot more to say, and it's not going to be that nice. The first negative point I would talk about is the story itself. Not only is it boring as hell, but it offers no answers at all about some of the most pressing questions people have had about the main story of Starfield. There are no mentions of the Starborn, so don't expect to know anything more about them. Worst of all, there is little to no backstory about the Terran themselves. It's as if they just appeared out of literally nowhere. I mean, their headquarters is some kind of random capital ship near Saturn, and that's basically it. This whole invasion story feels so shallow throughout the entirety of the quest that I have rarely seen such a lackluster finale. You just kill everyone on board that capital ship, meet the admiral who ended up just being the leader of that faction, kill her, and that's it. There was no backstory, no reason behind their rise, no explanation as of how they got their Xtech here, and basically everything about the quest is just unsatisfactory. Also, that French female character they introduced who helped the Terran create their robot is really insufferable. It's again one of those female characters who thinks that she has the moral high ground and would look down on you if you do anything that doesn't align with her views. She annoyed me so much, I did everything to make her have a negative response towards me, which ended up being more satisfactory than listening to her preaches. Ugh. Okay, then let's go to the ugly. Seriously? $10 for this is a ripoff. What a scam. I mean, I know people are going to say that the content is much less than Shattered Space, which cost $30 at launch, which was expensive, but at least there was a full new system, with a planet, with a full city. There were plenty of long side quests in addition to the main one. Shattered Space had the potential to keep you busy for dozens and dozens of hours if you wanted to do all of its additional content. Terran Armada has none of that. There's just a new station, which is just copy-paste of the other stations of the game, some ships that you have to board, some robots you need to kill, one quest that's actually extremely repetitive and makes you do the same mission over and over again, 2 new companions, and a few side activities that are forgettable, to put it nicely, that is not worth $10. $5 at least, but not 10. In fact, I would gladly have paid that price for the Trackers Alliance content that costs 700 creation points or $7 and offers so much more content, which also happens to be much more entertaining and rewarding. The Trackers Alliance should have been the $10 DLC, and Terran Armada should have been the obscure Bethesda Creations content that most people would not have heard of. So overall, Terran Armada ends up being one of the most disappointing pieces of content I've ever experienced in Starfield so far. Not because it's broken, not because it's unplayable, but because it's simply empty. There's just not enough here to justify the time, let alone the price. There are glimpses of good ideas, the outpost integration, Delta as a companion, the Xtech system, but none of them are pushed far enough to really matter. And when you combine that with a forgettable story, shallow world building to say the least, and repetitive mission design, what you've left with is a DLC that feels more like a rough draft than a finished experience. At $10, this DLC should have added something meaningful to the universe. Instead, it feels like filler content that should have either been expanded significantly or priced much lower. And that's the most frustrating part here, because the potential was there, but it was just never realized. So, if you're a die-hard Starfield player, you might still want to check it out just to see it for yourself, but for everyone else, this is an easy skip, and I'll give it a score of 2 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree with what I said. You think maybe I'm too harsh with this DLC. Were you happy with the story or the content that was provided? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. That is all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, let me know with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.